Let's talk a little bit about what happened on Wednesday night. We saw NXT take on AEW, and we want to hear from you guys. If you watched that show or either of those shows, I can't wait to hear your feedback. Drop those questions below. But it was an interesting show because we had, for the first time in a while, AEW on a Wednesday night. Now WWE's NXT on a Wednesday night. We've seen Dynamite go to Tuesday a few times for preemptions, but this time it was WWE's turn. And they pulled out all the stops. They did a live broadcast from the old ECW arena. WWE there is just a crazy thought to me. And they sprinkled some ECW nostalgia throughout it. We saw Rob Van Dam, and we saw Bully Ray and Devon, and we saw Nunzio and Tony Mamaluke, and we saw Rhino. Lots of cool sort of tip of the cap to ECW and the history in that building with Francine and Dawn Marie, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but it was a fun nostalgia show, and man, it really did a number relative to what AEW did. NXT, the big winner on the overnight ratings. Did you get a chance to catch either show, and were you surprised that an NXT show on a different night in the ECW arena beat AEW in the ratings?
I'll take the latter part first. No, I'm not surprised when I read the ratings at all. NXT is a hotter brand. It's just that simple. So I wasn't surprised at the outcome in terms of the ratings. I didn't know much about it creatively going in, and I wasn't able to see it because I was actually traveling here to Los Angeles on Wednesday. So I did not get a chance to see it, but heard a lot about it, read a lot about it. Congratulations to NXT. Somebody that I know predicted that this was going to happen, like, I don't know, a year ago. Everybody thought he was crazy. What was that cat's name? I can't remember. He's like fucking right all the time, though. I do know that about it, what I've heard about him. He's like almost always right. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Well, here's what I know. I absolutely loved seeing the WWE show in the ECW arena. I loved that we got Bubba Ray inviting Devon down because they couldn't find the table. It was a really fun little moment, especially if you know their history and their history with WWE and all back again in the ECW arena. It was just classic stuff. Hey,
I'm rocking mine here in LA. I'm walking down the street and people are looking at me and going, where did that guy get that t-shirt? That is an awesome t-shirt.
True classic.
It's great. Great stuff there.
Let's talk a little bit about the big sale that AEW is doing right now. They've started to do a bit of a pivot in the way they're marketing their live events. We've started to see them announce matches more in advance, so we know who's wrestling who a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. So there are some matches announced ahead of time, almost a page out of the way live events were advertised for years and years with both WWF and WCW. So we would start to promote, here's the matches you're going to see either at a house show or even as a dark match. So we don't really know where the TV is going to take us. I'm talking back in the Raw and Nitro days. But the dark match, we would get out on radio and television far in advance. They've started to do some of that with AEW now, and they've even started to offer a discount. They have a promotion going right now, Eric, called November to Remember. And, of course, that's an old ECW phrase, an old ECW pay-per-view. I love that they called it that the same night WWE was running the ECW arena. But they're offering a discount sale for 40% off the tickets. And Eric, you have been in a time in WCW where you couldn't damn give tickets away at center stage. You've talked about it before here on the show. And then you've been there other times where it would be, hey, we sold out the very first day we went on sale. And that was even more impressive back then because people weren't buying tickets online. They weren't buying tickets, through an app on their phone. They had to go stand in line at a box office or call an 800 number until they could get through and give a credit card to an operator and get tickets in the mail. I mean, that feels like 100 years ago, but you were there when you couldn't give them away and then when you just sold out immediately. And I wonder, what do you think of this? Let's advertise matches in advance and let people know what they're going to see well in advance, at least a match or two. And let's couple that with a 40% discount. What do you think of that right now, Eric?
Well, on the surface, it's a good idea, right? They're doing something. They're addressing an issue. So I think anytime you wake up in the morning and you go, I have an issue, let's figure out how to address it. that's at least the beginning of a good day. It likely won't be enough, because unless there's meaning behind the matches that they advertise in advance, unless the audience is emotionally connected to the product and is excited about being there because of that emotional connection, whether they announce the match in advance or not really won't matter. Now, if they are connected and there is a story, or there are characters that, you know, that people are genuinely motivated to go out of their way to not only part with cash, that's part of it, but to block out the time and make the commitment to physically be at the venue to watch this, that takes in a commitment beyond just, oh, it happens to be on television, but now they're in my hometown, so I'm going to go check it out. That won't work. And that's what they've been doing. There's not enough meat on the bone when it comes to the characters and the stories for people to go out of their way to watch it. Now, if they can reduce the ticket price, that's a good idea, especially this time of year, right? People are, you know, cash is tight. It is what it is. So if you can address that by offering a 40% off in this case, start talking about matches in advance. But if they can fill the other hole, which is make it mean something, make it important. If they can do that, perhaps this could be a pretty interesting fourth quarter for them. If they don't do that, it's just, it is what it is.
You know, the average ticket price for WWE this time last year was around $95. This is what I read recently from Brandon Thurston. And now I think it's like $127. So ticket prices are on the rise for WWE, and they're at capacity or near capacity for a lot of their events these days. AEW is not having that same success packing those buildings, and their tickets are already more affordable. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sold on the fact that a 40% discount or a 60% discount, I don't think there is a discount out there that gets the arenas full. I mean, I know that once upon a time, you know, you guys would in TNA just give away the tickets, and maybe that kills you. It is a slippery slope, I feel like, Eric. You're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It doesn't feel like there is a magic bullet. Like if they could just pull this one lever, everything changes. I don't think that exists right now.
No. Well, there is. It does.
Create.
But it's all comes down to the quality of the product and whether people are genuinely connected to it or not. Not some, you know, dirt sheet Reddit guy, you know, posting for cage match rankings attention. But I'm talking about, you know, the average semi-regular wrestling fan that just loves to be entertained by professional wrestling. You know, 98.9% of them of the audience. We'll see. That's the one thing that they could do. And I just don't think that Tony's capable. Number one, I don't think he's capable himself. It's just not a skill that he was born with. He has probably been born with a lot of other skills that I don't have and you don't have. And he should be focusing on the things that he's really good at and let go of the things that he's not. But he's not going to do that.
I can't wait to see what's next for AEW. It does feel like they're going to have to start shifting it into high gear because they've got this big stadium event coming up next year in Texas. And that's going to be a real interesting test for AEW because we've seen them sort of rise to the occasion internationally. And now they're going to try to do that domestically. And that actually brings up a question that we got from our live studio audience here today.